Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about a hero that quite literally changed my account forever for the better, and she is pretty crazy. So the hero that we're going to be talking about today, as you may have been able to guess by the thumbnail, is Talula. So this healer slash cleanser slash team protector came out a few months ago at this point. I think almost a year now. It's been a while since she was implemented into the game, and people were very undecided on her at the time on if she was going to be good, if she was a value over replacement. She doesn't even have really that crazy of ratings, all things considered, right, when you start to compare her to some of the other healers inside the game. But I am here to tell you that this hero is absolutely fantastic, and if you have her, she's going to be a game changer for your account, quite literally. She is amazing. So let's go ahead, let's take a look at her kit and see what it's all about. So her basic attack sends one butterfly to one ally in range. As you can see, she has this absolutely massive hollow slash vortex range that is, on par with some of the largest ranges in the entire game for healers, with, I think maybe one exception with a healer that can heal anywhere on the map. If the hero is not carrying Butterfly Waltz, so that's going to be every 2 seconds, restores HP based on the carrier's max HP. When it says carrier, it's referencing essentially the hero or the champion that has this on them, right? So not necessarily her HP, and the caster's attack. So her attack does help to scale the healing. The healing is proportional to the number of stacks. Each stack also increases damage reduction by 10%. Cannot be dispelled. So you're getting essentially a buff that gets placed on a hero. Every 2 seconds, it's going to restore their HP. The healing is proportional to the amount of stacks, so this can stack up multiple times. And then each stack is also going to mean that your damage reduction is increased by 10%. That's absolutely insane. And keep in mind that this is not specified as single target damage. This is not specified as AoE damage, nothing like that. So if you have a Pharisee, for example, he's doing AoE damage reduction, right? Same thing with Aelin. This is just damage reduction as a whole. Any sort of damage that your heroes are going to be receiving. So if they don't have that, it's going to enhance an ally carrying Frost Spirit instead. So what does that do? Every 2 seconds restores HP based on the carrier's max HP and the caster's attack for at least 8 seconds. After 8 seconds, if the carrier has 100% HP, the butterfly will fly to another wounded ally within 1 tile or return to the caster. The carrier cannot attract more butterflies, cannot be dispelled. So essentially, if they don't have this, she's then going to give them Frost Spear instead, right? She's increasing the healing multiplier of 50% on her Force Spirit while applying attack-based healing 1 time to the hero every 2 seconds. So an insane basic attack and a lot to go over, and she does certainly benefit from books as well. We then have a passive, Forest Spirit and Butterfly Waltz, so both of them have a 100% chance when booked to dispel 1 debuff from each carrier every 2 seconds. That's right, 100% cleanse on her butterflies, which are being put out on her basic attack. This is absolutely insane, especially when you consider that her basic attack is also granting damage reduction. We have another passive, Forest Spirit, also grants the carrier magic damage reduction and physical damage reduction, and applies rage regen, where they're going to restore 1% rage per second for 1 second. So essentially just a 1% rage pop. So she is a combination of somebody like a Eloin, right, with her rage regen capabilities, though Eloin is certainly going to be a lot stronger version. She's like a combination of Pharisee, because Pharisee has his AoE damage reduction capabilities. She also takes Eloin's cleansing abilities, and we're also taking Hollow's range and just throwing it all and saying, hey, this is all going into one kit. She's absolutely insane, and we haven't even talked about her ultimate yet. Enchanted Ritual, which is a very low-cost ultimate, all things considered, and it lasts for 15 seconds. So she's going to channel a ritual and instantly send 1 butterfly to each of up to 3 allies in range, so basically just instantly popping a heal on 3 allies. During the ritual, all the healing effect, rage regen, dispel, and damage reduction from Force Spirit also apply to allies adjacent to the carriers of Force Spirit, and the butterflies won't leave their carriers before the ritual ends. So she pops this, She's sending one butterfly out to 3 of your allies on your team, and she's saying, hey, you guys are getting heals, you guys are getting damage reductions, but that also applies to everybody around them. This is absolutely ridiculous. Her talent is when she's deployed, she summons, so instantly summons 3 butterflies around the hero, each granting 1 stack of butterfly waltz. When a butterfly lands on an ally, it grounds Forest Spirit to them, and she converts 50% of extra attack speed to healing effect. So essentially, the attack speed that you're putting on her above the baseline 100 attack speed is also getting converted to healing effect, right? So 50% of it. So if we take a look at my build, right? So let's go ahead and see her speed here. She has 593 speed. So we take that minus 100, which will give us 493, which means that she's getting like 220 healing effect. This is absolutely insane. And it doesn't show us it on this page, but she already has 70 healing effect from other sources, essentially. She is an absolutely incredible hero, and I'm going to walk you through the ratings that I would give her. So she's straight up a 5 inside Titanic Runes. Same thing with Faction Trials, right? Void Rift, I've been progressing through the hardest version of Void Rift, and I use her there a lot. Tide, I also think she's a very solid hero. Gear Dungeon 2, she definitely does start to fall off a little bit. Immortal Codex, she's not particularly useful above some of the other ones, right? So Gear Raid 2, she's okay. Gear Raid 3, she's pretty alright. Gear Raid 1, I think she's fantastic. Guild War, I think she's decent. Gear Dungeon 1, she can do essentially your holo roll there, right? Inside the Drake, absolutely amazing if you're trying to progress there. Artifact Material Raid, not so much, right? There's other healers that will do that a little bit better. Single Target Arena, AoE Arena, and then the other arena as well are going to be kind of Gold Raid, you're not really bringing in healers too much, right? So those arenas, I think those are very fair ratings. She definitely deserves a 5 inside Titanic Ruins, and I will show you why, essentially. So, how do we have her built? How do you want to build her? The stats you're going to be looking for primarily are survivability. So first and foremost, right, you want good HP on her. Defense, not as much as you can see even from my build, because defense does not scale as effectively in this game as something like HP does. So you definitely want to load her up with HP. Now, she is an attack-based healer, of course, but keep in mind that her heals are also being scaled off of the recipient's max HP. So you can definitely afford to scale her survivability up a little bit more, which makes her even more strong. After making sure she has sufficient stability and sufficient survivability, you can then start to focus on things like rage regen, which is quite important. You can focus on attack speed and then healing effect, kind of in that order, I would say. I have very, very low rage regen on her, unfortunately, and that's partly because of my artifact. I have the Taya's Bomb on her, which is not what I would recommend. If you're able, I would say go ahead and put a Golden Scarab on her. This is going to serve her purposes far, far, far better, right? Especially if you have a maxed out Golden Scarab like I do. But that's currently residing on my Eloin. And then the other Golden Scarab that I have is just sitting down here on the healer whose name I forgot. So that would be what you'd want to do, essentially. If you're going to be using this hero, definitely make sure to go ahead and book her out as well. She is so incredibly strong that she is definitely worth it. So for artifacts, obviously, like I mentioned, Golden Scarab, put that on her. You could also potentially use Euphoric Orb, because getting a increase of 30 on your attack speed every 60 seconds for 10 seconds is pretty strong. And especially considering her range, the actual effectiveness of this will be quite crazy, to say the least. For the gear, here's how I have her built. So I have attack bonus main stat with some healing effect and attack speed here on the bangle. We have an attack speed, of course, amulet, and then we have an HP bonus invigoration ring. So basically, just getting a little bit of survivability out of her. On the left-hand side, we have HP bonus, defense bonus, attack bonus, and attack speed. Pretty much a perfect piece here. If I were to able to rework this attack bonus, it would be quite literally perfect. We have attack speed, rage regen, healing effect, and defense on the salvation set on the left-hand side. If you're looking at sets for, right-hand side, you're really just going to be running her inside any sort of like regular healing sets, right? Any sort of regular healer set that you would use. So for example, morale set could be pretty decent, right? Where you're getting the healing effect plus 20, sorry, wrong side. So when on the field, all allies are going to do 4% bonus damage. Having this on one of your champions would be very, very strong. And obviously having it on a healer could work out quite well. Invigoration, the set that I have her in currently, healing effect plus 25. When she's deployed, her and one random ally in range will gain 10% attack. So if you have some very decent pieces, you could easily throw those on her as well. There's not really any other sets that I would call out as being too crazy. Like, you could definitely throw Wings of Grace on her. So healing effect plus 30, increasing the attack of the hero. Sorry, increasing the attack of the hero. That's worded so weirdly. And the ally with the highest attack in range by 12%. So Wings of Grace is essentially just a straight upgrade to your Invigoration set, because obviously with Wings of Grace, you can very effectively choose who it gets placed on, right? Whereas Invigoration can be a bit more random. Let's go ahead and take a look at Awakenings real quick. We have Awaken level 1. When a butterfly lands on an ally, the ally restores 15% HP, so just a quick pop. We have an A2, healing effect plus 8. Pretty trash, in all honesty. A3, Woodlands, Blessings, Rage, Regen per second increases by an extra 1%. Simply put, this is going to mean that she's popping 2% Rage Regeneration when that activates instead of 1. Rage Regen auto plus 1. And then finally, when a butterfly returns to the hero, restore 50 Rage. So while her butterflies are out doing their rounds, when they come back to you, they're going to restore 50 Rage, which, considering how low of a cost her ultimate is, that is a very, very strong awakening to have. I wouldn't necessarily, well, it's not that I wouldn't necessarily, it's just that I would flat out not recommend using any awakening stones on her. I don't think she's really going to benefit from it. If you have the soul stones, you're going to be far better off using them in another area of the game. So why is she so account changing? How is she going to benefit your account? Well, I'm going to say this in the simplest way that I know how. Without Talula, I would not be beating up Apocalypse 2 as a free-to-play account. I would simply not be able to do this content. And the reason for that, and that might be a bit of an exaggeration, I'm sure I could figure out some sort of an alternative strategy. And yes, I am free-to-play, even though I have Praetus and Ingrid and, you know, an A5 Sun Wukong and all those sorts of things. This is my team that I use. And Talula is incredibly important to this team, incredibly important to the overall structure of this team. So I'm going to go ahead and hit an auto fight here. I'm sure the timings are all going to be completely screwed up, but you can essentially get an idea of the placements and what she's doing there. So during this fight, I place Talula on the right-hand side right here. As you can see, the range on her is just absolutely insane. So she can cover basically the entire field on her own, which is just crazy, right? Like, she's covering every single hero that I have placed on the battlefield right now. There are very few healers that are actually capable of doing that. So it comes down to like Pharisee, Talula, it comes down to Hollow, of course, Vortex, those sorts of heroes, but they are just so not as good as her, simply put. So we're getting through the final phase of, or the final stages of phase 2 here, essentially. What we're going to do is we're going to go on to his poison stage. I'm not going to use Elowen. I'm essentially just going to not pop any sort of ultimates or anything like that. I'm going to try to stack a couple of poisons up on us here. So we get the 5 poisons placed all over everybody there. I'm just going to wait until he does his Noxious Breath or whatever it's called as well. Acidic Venom. Noxious Breath was definitely not the name of it. I think that's what the dragon does in Raid Shadow Legends. Now we're going to go ahead and pop Talula, and you'll really just start to see these poisons disappear like super quick. And just like that, the poisons are gone from literally everybody on the team. Literally everybody. That quick. That simple. Poisons, gone. What poisons? They don't exist, right? It's almost as effective as stacking or as activating an Elowen. Because Elowen, there we go. Now she goes ahead and pops all those poisons off as well. And with Apocalypse 2 of Semra especially, a lot of this is based on survivability, and I would get to the point where I'd be hitting about 90 to 110,000 fragments, but then I would get taken out on the 3rd rotation on the 3rd stage of the boss, if that makes sense. So I'd clear the first 2 perfectly fine, and then once we got to the poison phase on the 3rd time around, I would just not be able to cleanse it off, right? And I have a very solid build on somebody like my Elowen. So these are how her stats are looking here, right? Like we have good HP, good attack, obviously, good attack speed, and then decent rage regen at 87%, right? It's definitely not as high as it could be, certainly. But she just wasn't cycling fast enough to be able to actually keep those poisons off. And of course, I don't have her awakened. I haven't been lucky enough to pull copies of her, and I'm certainly not going to use soul stones on her, so she doesn't have the automatic cleansing capabilities that you would get from the awakening. So I had to find some sort of an alternative option. For a while, I was using Diao-chan as well, because she can, of course, switch to her Form 1 and pop some extra healing for your team, right? Which could certainly help, and that did help me progress a little bit. But now, as soon as I substituted in Talula on this team, I am easily hitting about 160k fragments on every single rotation, which, even with inside my clan here, that definitely puts me into the upper echelon, so the top 5 or so. And then even in world rankings, I'm nowhere close, right? But if we scroll all the way down here, and if we start looking at the top 100, right, it's 335k. So 160k is putting me right around that 50% of being all the way up on the world rankings. And when you start to look at some of these team compositions, being a free-to-play player going against, like, even, you know, this player here, who's topping it, right? Like, this is absolutely insane. The gear and everything like that is absolutely wild as well. But being a free-to-play player, getting half of what these guys are able to get, that's something that I'm quite proud of, in all honesty. Essentially, the shortcoming that I have now is when I get to the fourth rotation, we're able to get through the saw phase, but then as soon as we get to the phase with the defensive stacking, Semra does kick my butt, unfortunately, because I just don't have enough damage to take it down within the allocated time frame. But that being said, this has been a 15-minute video roughly on Talula and showcasing her talents and why she's such an absolutely amazing hero, and why I think she's actually a little bit underrated. I think she definitely deserves a little bit more love, especially considering how low the ratings are for her in the game. And how much I use her, right? So she definitely has a special place in my heart. That being said, make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more Watcher of Realms content on the channel. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.